8110-14.
Proclamation recognizing and thanking the POISE Foundations for its rich history of philanthropy within the greater Pittsburgh region's black community, sponsored by Councilman Robinson.
Yes, Councilman Robinson. Where's Mike at?
Thank you, Mr. President and members of council. Joining me is Mr. Mark Lewis, the president and executive director of the POISE Foundation. We hope that Mr. Greg Spencer, our new chairman at POISE, will be here before our program ends. Let me make a comment on the great work that Mr. Finnerty has done relative to recognizing the Irish community and inviting all of us to join him in celebrating a history that perhaps we don't all share. In the 1st and 2nd and 3rd centuries A.D., the Roman Empire had grown to quite an extent, all the way from Turkey to Spain. But there were some people that the Romans had difficulty with, and they lived north. They lived in a place that the Romans called Germania. I heard the word German mentioned. In those days, there were no Germans. There were tribes of people who lived in Germania, who the Romans called barbarians, because they felt they were uncivilized, uncouth, etc. And the Romans decided to beat them into submission. Much to their surprise, these Germanic people were skilled warriors as well as diplomats, as well as farmers, etc. And their women fought along with them. The people from Germania actually brought their families to the battlefield, so many women fought on behalf of these tribes, also to the surprise of the Roman soldiers. I bring this up not only to inform all of us, as I've been informed, but to indicate that blunt force trauma sometimes doesn't work. In this community, we have a lot of different ethnic groups. And while they might not all share the same experiences, we've found a way to live together. Not always peacefully, but we've found a way to live together. So unlike the Romans, we've learned to live with the barbarians. And so I thank Mr. Finnerty for giving us barbarians an opportunity to experience Irish culture and Irish pride. Thank you very much, Mr. Finnerty, and those of you who have come forward. Check out those Germanic people. They're a rough bunch. Like to drink their beer warm. We're going to honor today the POISE Foundation. As I said, Mr. Lewis standing to my left is the president and executive director and a product of the POISE Foundation. POISE is not a social service agency. POISE doesn't run any daycare centers. POISE doesn't run any job training programs. POISE is not involved in trying to stop violence in Allegheny County. POISE is a foundation, just like the Pittsburgh Foundation or the Buell Foundation or any other foundation with which you are familiar. There is no other organization like the POISE Foundation anywhere in the United States of America. There's only one POISE Foundation. POISE came into its own in 1980 under the leadership and through the vision of Mr. Bernard H. Jones, who has gone home to his final reward. POISE started by selling hot dogs, fish dinners, chicken dinners, and garbage bags. POISE has under its immediate supervision about $5 million. Small by most accounts, it's a piggy bank compared to the Pittsburgh Foundation. But POISE is poised to be of assistance to us here in Allegheny County and throughout the United States as a credible, reliable foundation. I encourage everyone, if you're interested in looking at organizations and groups that are trying to improve this community and wrestle with some of our challenges, you have to give consideration to the POISE Foundation. There are many people who are unaware of the POISE Foundation, never heard of it, have never used it, probably think they are out there somewhere operating a soup kitchen or giving away dresses for prom night or buying young men tuxedos so they can escort someone to the prom. POISE doesn't do any of that. Mr. Lewis, to my left, is a skilled accountant, fully trained, who gave up a lucrative career to run the POISE Foundation. Mr. Lewis meets with all the top funders in this region and oversees a program here in our region, but also a national effort. There is no other organization in the United States of America, guarantee you, like the POISE Foundation. The name speaks to what it was all about when Bernard H. Jones founded this organization and when it came onto the scene in 1980. One personal note, if I might. From time to time, I like to exercise my ego. And I was in a meeting one time with the POISE Foundation, and I wanted to pound my chest, so I said, well, you know, I've raised about $800,000 for the POISE Foundation. And Mr. Lewis said, no, you've raised $1 million for the POISE Foundation, which was kind of humbling because I didn't do it for any personal recognition. I did it because I knew it was the right thing, and I knew POISE would be doing things and planting trees under whose branches I would never sit. POISE will be here when we're long gone doing hard work. I want to give to you Mr. Mark Lewis, the Executive Director and President of the POISE Foundation, and I'll let him tell you more about it.
Thank you. First, before I do that, I actually wish the day was March 15th so that I too could be Irish. I mean, you've inspired me so much with all the stories and the remarks about St. Patrick's Day. I won't give too much history. I think Mr. Robbins has done a great job of doing that. But on behalf of the board and staff of the POISE Foundation, I want to thank Council and particularly Councilman Robinson for recognizing us today. As he mentioned, we are, to our knowledge, the only African-American community foundation in the country. And our focus is really to help Pittsburgh's African-American community become more self-sufficient and develop self-sustaining practices. And as he said, we don't do programs. We are a foundation. We do give money away. We've probably given away over the years in different respects, probably over $10 million or so. Our endowments are about $7 million right now. Definitely looking to grow that and become a bigger impact in the community. But our focus in grant making right now, which for us it's around African Americans, but it's important for our whole community, is around strengthening families. When I grew up, family and community were probably the two most important factors that led to the success of anybody. And we see those two things in so many respects beginning to decrease or diminish. And so it's our effort to bring focus that families, whatever that structure may look like, and creating strong communities are necessary for us as a community as a whole to succeed and excel. So again, thank you, Council, and everyone for this acknowledgement.
Yes, sir, please. And anyone else who would like to, please. Whereas since its founding in December of 1980 by Mr. Bernard H. Jones, the POISE Foundation has served as the first public foundation in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania organized and managed by African Americans. And whereas created as a community foundation, POISE is focused on developing and enhancing the participation of African American philanthropists in the economy and social development of the black community of the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. And whereas over the past 34 years, the POISE Foundation has grown from an initial capitalization of $164,000 to a present value of $4.5 million. During this same period, deserving organizations that focus on improving conditions in 6 areas: aging, arts and culture, children youth education, health and human services, and urban affairs, economic development. And whereas the POISE Foundation's current grant-making strategy aims to strengthen black families by funding projects that improve family communication, increase family time, encourage family civic engagement, and strengthen family resilience. Through the POISE Foundation's various scholarship programs, families receive assistance with tuition fees and other related costs in order to provide opportunities to seek an education best suited for their children. The foundation has also served as fiscal sponsor for more than 20 organizations and programs, enabling more than $1 million in direct programming to the community. And whereas in addition to the grants, scholarship, and fiscal sponsorship services that POISE provides, the foundation sometimes initiates or co-creates programs such as the Sustainable Black Community, Giving Circles, Greater Pittsburgh After School Consortium, African American Funders Group, and the Greater Pittsburgh chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen Institute. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Allegheny County Council does hereby recognize and thank the POISE Foundation and all of its members for assisting African Americans of the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County, for its dedication to improving the overall quality of life in our community. And I thank each and one of my colleagues for being kind enough to co-sponsor this with me. I think if you really are interested in making sure that the barbarians and the Romans find a way to get along without blunt force trauma, you're going to need an organization such as the POISE Foundation that is poised to be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.